we're driving through into Kakadu here, just the start of the road on the way up to Jabiru. And it's almost what we call pandanus country.
And tree ferns.
Lots of tree ferns as well. And lots of the plants that we learnt when we were in Tiwi, we're identifying now, which is pretty cool. Seeing which ones we can eat. This is day 2 in Kakadu. Day 1 being yesterday when we arrived. We arrived fairly late in the afternoon. We did head into one of the info centres to get our Kakadu National Parks pass, which is literally a slip of paper. I took a photo of it. The lady said,
slip of paper, mind you.
it's the most expensive slip of paper I've ever bought. The lady said take a photo of it so you've got it with you, because apparently they do check when you're doing the walks, etc., that you have the parks pass with you.
It's a pretty bumpy road into Magog. We have lowered our tyre pressures down to 30 all round. Probably could have gone nearly to 25. It started off okay, wasn't too bad, but it gradually deteriorated as we went on. So it's quite bumpy now. Lower tyre pressures is helping a lot.
Now we're heading into Majuk, a walk and a plunge pool, which apparently is safe for swimming in.
Kind of, at your own risk. There are crocs. It says be aware there's crocs. They only recommend you swim in swimming pools, but everyone does it and they do try to remove them. And we're going to go check it out, have a look and go for a swim. We've gone lapping along for the ride. They've caught up to us after doing the Gibb River Road, and we're going with Lun's Lap as well. So we've got a crew of 3 families heading up for a bit of a swim in the afternoon. As we head on in with our pool noodles, what could go wrong? We'll put the little ones in first. Everything looks super crocky here, so we're being really careful staying away from the water's edge. Even the signs are saying stay away, so this is serious croc country. This looks amazing. Have a look at that. Wow. How beautiful does that look? I just want to know what this bit was. What's changed? How do I avoid that one? Alrighty. This is a nice walk, isn't it? This looks beautiful. We've seen a turtle in the water. Oh, Harry's got it. Oh, it's a turtle. I reckon it's a turtle. Yeah, it's a long-necked turtle. Pushing on up the hill. Going up there. We've come over top of the hill. It's not really marked post that first pull, so we're just working our way. See if we can find it. Don't even know if we're on the right path here. We followed on from where some Europeans told us to go. Not seen anything yet. Geez, this is a long way down. Alrighty. We're above it. This is a lookout. Whoa.
I did not jump up there.
No. We found it. It's a little bit tricky. Gonna have to hang on to the kids' hands, work our way around. Beautiful views, bit of a tricky one to get to this upper pool. Oh, here it is. Here's the plunge pool. Just have to carefully hop down all these rocks. You made it. Bang.
Hey, hat and sunglasses. We're not buying you more. You'll be going all year without them. Tiwi jumped into a pool, hat and sunnies on, lost his sunnies.
Okay, traditional Kakadu entry. I think I'm clear. Beautiful.
Hi.
Wow, you're right.
It's pretty clear.
Nice. That is beautiful. Unreal. Have a look at this place. Have a look at this. This is Kakadu. Our first pool, Majak plunge pool. There's no crocs up here, surely. Yeah, jump in.
Oh, this is so beautiful. So beautiful.
Was that one more? Okay, one more.
Oh my gosh.
It's lit. Oh, there he is.
is awesome.
That was one of the freshest water pools that we've been in. Getting used to all this beautiful fresh water in the pools. Really fun to jump off the rocks. So we found a pool that's really, really deep. So the boys are having the ball jumping off. And Justin did the rock jump that kind of goes down into another pool, and then you swim through the tunnel and come out the other side.
That was so much fun. Awesome spot.
Got the sun coming in the window. It's nice and early this morning. We actually slept in. We were meant to depart at 8:15 and 8 o'clock we woke up, so it was a quick scramble.
Kakadu is huge, like 22,000 kilometres or something like that. Square kilometres is a massive place. So everywhere you go, you got driving to do. So it's best to get on the road and head out to those spots because there's nothing really at the campground. It's all spread really far out.
The reason we were departing early was to head to the Norlangi Rock Art Talks this morning. So there's lots of ranger activities that are held throughout Kakadu.
The Warramal people were the original clan for this area, and that they're no longer here. Okay, so it's cared for by neighbouring clans. So Murrumbula, some people to the south, is a clan that helps care for the country. The Murrah clan to the north, they're kind of like closer to Jabberoo. And then the closest is the Jock clan, which is Jeffrey Lee here. So he's the guy who actually walked me around here and sort of trained me on the site.
We started at the car park. We're going to walk all the way up to the lookout. Then we're going to come back down, look at some artwork, and finish up in the cultural and then head back down. It's a little bit smoky this morning. We're heading off with the ranger. We've got a few different talks ahead of us. It breaks them up into 20-minute slots so you can jump into one or all of them. Off we go. It's beautiful through here, through the bush. It's an easy path for the walk today.
So this will be when we get to the end of this drive. So we're now in Wurgang. We're going to go through Gurung. At the end of Gurung, we get into this build-up time. So sort of October, it gets humid and we'll start to see some fruits on this.
He knows what he's talking about, this ranger. He's on top of all these Aboriginal cultural names and words and places, and quite entertaining. Headed to the top of the hill. Wow, look at that. Just tracked our way from down the bottom through the bush here up to this rock face, and you got a great view out.
The more scientific way to view country is that, like, you know, we can start with what we're standing on, which is conglomerate rock. Well, that's a fun word, isn't it, kids? Look, what it tells me is that it was laid down by fresh water, yeah, and that those bits of quartz have been rolling down, you know, fresh water systems. So, and that was like a kilometre thick in some places, but underneath that, maybe there was another 10 kilometres in thickness in some places of sedimentary sandstone that was laid down by shallow seas. Because there was a big syncline here. It was called the Pine Creek Geosyncline. Because Pine Creek, that town down there, was the centre of it.
There's fires around, there's been some burning off, and so you can see this haze. You can see a fire there coming up.
They might struggle through the smoke, but basically sort of right on the edge of that smoke over there, you probably can't see it at the moment. That's all right, don't even worry too much. Maybe when we stop and talk, you might get a view. But there's a little raise in the escarpment over there, so that raises to 330 metres above the level of the lowlands. But there's an area there, it's a dreaming site, or jung, and it's for Namagon. He's a lightning man. So in creation, he came with his wife, Parin, and they had lots and lots of children. And that's where he went into that country there, and his eye sits there, it's sort of this red in the rock. And he looks to the west, and when his children call to him, that's a type of grasshopper that lives here, and it's only found here. It makes a lot of noise, and it's calling to its father, and he's got axes on his elbows, and on his head, and his knees, and he claps them together, and he brings lightning. And he starts all the fires, the late fires. So that's why people are burning now, because otherwise Namagon Lightning Man, he's going to burn the whole lot.
The ranger just spoke about the management of Kakadu, particularly in relation to the two different strategies, the scientific approach and the cultural approach, so the traditional owners and the traditional people who lived here at Kakadu, the Aboriginal clans, many of whom still live here today. It was really interesting. There's a board of management who consist of many of the traditional owners, so they've got that cultural side, and then bringing in the scientific approaches as well to look after Kakadu today and into the future.
We'll work our way back down the mountain now, heading down to some of the rock art. And we're going to try to beat some of the crowd down there, have a look at it, and then hear about it from the ranger. Some big ones. This is a kangaroo, that one. A wallaby, I guess. That one stands out very, very bright. They're all around in these rocks, so for the local Aborigines in this area, they were connected to the rocks. They tell stories, they use as their canvas, and they're known as the rock people. Plenty of rock art around. See the lightning man up here who's talking about the starts of fires. And have a look at that, it's pretty impressive.
So when David Attenborough come here, I think that was around 1962, and he talked about the place. He's a science kind of guy, so he took notes and photos, and he said there was paper bark on the ground where people had been using it as sort of a resting site. There was dilly bags hanging on rocks where people had, just put their bags up, and but he saw different art here.
So the paintings aren't as protected as we might expect. For the Aboriginals, it's the rock that they're painting on that's sacred, and they use that to tell the stories and share their laws. So there's a lot of older paintings, and then there's newer paintings. So some we're just looking at were from the 1960s. See here some much older ones that are worn away.
You still get all that faded red in the background, and that's I guess an indication that there's been layers and layers of rock art there that have sort of, people have used it to tell a story, and over the top of that someone's painted another picture.
So these ones are about 1,000 years old apparently, whereas the ones we're looking at down further were 1960s. Just walking along all the rock art here, checking it all out as we go. In amongst all this giant conglomerate, millions of years old. We've just hiked up further, see some more. These ones are clearly older. Kids are enjoying having a look at them. So this is an older wallaroo that's depicted here with the older style. So this is up to 4,000 years old, and they date this using, some of the areas have beeswax, so they've used some of the beeswax to work out how old it is. So whilst that one's 4,000 years old, over here there's actually a much younger 1,500 years old. These paintings over here in this wallaroo down here, and it has more detail, the white and the red, and they've done a different type of painting in the last 1,500 years. Walking through. Wow. Super cool.
When you're doing things, you can have it on your back and spread that weight so that you're still collecting things. And it's really stretchy, so you can collect your mussels down at the billabong, or any type of food that you're collecting in that little dilly bag there. So I don't know if you've seen them, but send it around, fly. So this ochre has been passed around so much that it's actually sort of developed a different type of shell, but that's actually pipe clay. So it's what's used for the white ochre is pipe clay, and that's really easy to find around the park. Also hematite, relatively easy to find. That's that red ochre, and that's also used for bones, for burial, red ochre. It creates a barrier between people and that spirit world.
There's heaps of artwork all around as you cruise around these rocks. They've just painted on all these surfaces over the years, some obviously 4,000 years, some much recently. Quite interesting style, be hard to replicate.
It's driving along, and this burning off is still happening all around us, so just this smouldering that you see, a little bit of flame over there on that log as well. Coming into the Bawali Visitor Centre. This is the main visitor centre here in Kakadu. There's also some other cultural centres and different places that you can go for information and exhibits as well. I think this is a touch table, Harry. Yeah. What have we got down here? We'll do that when that one finishes. Pandanus down here. The fruit.
See these holes?
Jed. You being a turtle.
In Minecraft, this is how you spit off a turtle shell and then you put it on your head.
Oh, awesome.
This one is cool. Do you know what these are? These holes here.
Pandanus there. What sort of skulls do you think those ones might be?
The teeth, yeah, it is sort
Would
of
they be, Harry?
They go up. Maybe dingo.
A dingo skull, you think? Look at his teeth. Oh, we made it, Harry. We found it. Joanna? And what we've been looking for, a crocodile skeleton. It tells us about him. So was found in 1993, this one. So he's been a skeleton here for a long time.
This is a snapshot of what you can get up to here in Kakadu. So you've got Gumbim or the rock art. Go and see the wetlands and the billabongs. There's plenty of walks. Go over and look at the lookouts, look at the sunsets, and there's plenty of ranger guided activities. So we're going to go and do some of those because they're free, included with your Parks Pass.
You can see the changes in time of rock art here and how the different seasons, the dry seasons and the wet seasons, and then the introduction of other cultures, so Chinese and European cultures being here in Australia, how they've impacted the rock art.
We're camping out at Mardugal. There's 2 campgrounds there, so there's 1 and 2. So we've come in and we've basically come all the way down and through, and that's our base, and we're using that to be able to go out to the different locations. So today we've gone out to Norlangi to have a look at the ranger guided talks. Yesterday we went down to Maguk, which was where the pools were, and then to the rest of today we're going to go up to Jabiru, and then we're going to go up to Cahill's Crossing up the top and have a look up there as well. So you got plenty of places to travel and massive grounds. It's huge.
Alright, where are we off to, boys?
The Gib.
The gears work.
No, we're going to the Gib.
Oh, to the Gib. You're going to the Gib.
We're doing the Gib.
Alright. Are you all prepared?
Gib?
You're going to the Gib?
No!
Well, you got the right car for it. You've got a Land Cruiser. But there's a problem. You've only got half of the Toyota Land Cruiser. Alright, Harry's going fishing. Manages to find somewhere to go fishing everywhere, don't you, Harry? So you catch a fish.
Oh, God.
Oh, you got away.
There is a heap of information here in the info centre, a lot, and you can learn all about the animals, all about the trees, all about the woodlands, billabongs, savannas, everything. So there's a lot of information to take in. You do need a bit of time here to be able to read it all and take it all in. It's good for the kids though. There's a lot of photos and information, but there's also a lot of interactive stuff as well. Kakadu libraries, so the kids are in there having a bit of a read to see a bit more about the local area.
We finished up at the Visitor Information Centre. We spent a few hours there. There was actually quite a lot to do. Some really good displays with lots of hands-on activities for the kids, and a great video documentary as well, which goes for a long time, so but really interesting. We're now on our way up to Cahill's Crossing after getting some petrol in at Jabiru and having a look around the town there. It was much bigger than I expected actually. Lots of people live there and it was a pretty neat looking, not a bad town. So we'll head up to Cahill's Crossing and have a look. We've come at about the right time for the tides apparently. If you ever Justin, I think you'll confirm that.
Yeah, high tide. So the best time to see Cahill's Crossing is at high tide. We're going to be a little bit late. We'll probably be about an hour late from high tide, but it'll just be receding. And that's the time to come along because that's when the crocs are there trying to catch the fish coming in and out over the crossing and eating them up. So we might see a bit of action.
Have a look.
We're coming down through the woodlands of Kakadu, and it's coming down into the tidal, I guess the wetlands. But 80% of Kakadu is actually woodlands, just like this. That's a big source for food and other useful things for the local Aborigines. Down where we're heading, down into the wetlands with Cahill's Crossing. That's another decent part of Kakadu, and there's a lot of crocs there, so we're hoping to see some salties in action.
This area that we're going through on the way up to Cahill's Crossing is known as Stone Country, and it's very aptly named. It absolutely is. There's so much rock here. I'm guessing there might be some rock art in there somewhere. We've been learning that there's still lots of hunts going on to find rock art that's unknown to us at the moment.
Found 30% there,
I guess that's an estimate. I'm guessing there might be some in there somewhere.
So we've come into Cahill's Crossing. There's a big car park you can sort of see behind us. You can pull into to park, and then you can walk over to check it out. This is Cahill's Crossing. Oh, look at this. A little bit crowded. There's a car coming through. We're not going to cross today. Let's have a look how deep it is, eh? This is at full tide. Oh, fish kicking around out there. Was it crocodiles or fish? Wow. And this flog out in the middle. This is Cahill's Crossing. Look at that. People everywhere. Looks like they got one here. Just talking to a bloke here, and they've caught a couple of 75, 80 centimetre fish here. I think he said they were barra, with the tide up. So it's very tempting to go get the rod. We're going to go have a look at the other area. It looks packed, like dead set packed. So we'll see how much room there is to see if you can actually have a fish. And you can see this is a ramp down. You need a permit to access it. You can go across into Arnhem Land across the other side, and it's patrolled by these crocs on either side. Right now it's just after 3 on high tide, and so there's plenty of water and fish changing sides, and the crocs aren't silly. They've come down for an easy dinner. And so as we're sitting here, you're seeing a heap of little fish swimming across some big fish swimming across the path down to these crocs, and then the crocs are having a crack at them. Just waiting for a fish to come into his mouth. This one, jaws open, waiting for a bit of barramundi dinner.
Oh, look, there's crocs. How about this way? Crocs on the move. You got any? Come in. This one's moving rapidly now. That's the fastest I've seen him move all day.
Coming to the end of the day, it's been a big day driving around. Covered a lot of Ks today, but done a lot of awesome stuff too. We're just heading now to catch up to the Ranger Talk. We missed it because we're at Cahill's Crossing a little bit longer, and by going up here we should be able to catch some of the rock art and then finish up with a bit of a sunset view over the plains as the sun goes down with me and of our mates. So here we go. You think? You can see the multiple layers of rock art here as we walk up. So the first part of the Ranger Tour takes in some of this art, which we did this morning, so it's good to see some different stuff. It's all over these stone lands. So this is Ubia, just a short drive from Cahill's Crossing. It's quite an easy walk up to that point. It was quite flat, wheelchair accessible, and then you start to go into a bit of rocks, working your way down. We're going to the gallery where we're going to catch up with the Ranger Talk. There's artwork everywhere. It's quite faint, this one. A bit older. I think it's where we're going here. It's a dude with a spear and a basket hunting. They've got a throwing spear, some spears. You can see here a depiction of a gun from perhaps the early settlers when white men came with weapons. Heading over to the lookout now where we can look out over the plains to see the sunset, Steph.
Yeah, yep, so sunset's about 6:30, but we'll go up and have a look.
Big day. When you first come into Kakadu, it actually looks quite plain, but as we started to drive around to the different sites, in particular the stone country, its beauty starts to come out. Here's the plains, waiting for the sun to set.
I haven't been to Africa, but this feels African. I'm guessing this is what Africa might be like.
Looks like it's Savannah Plains. It's where you can watch the sunset over the plains. We might get going. We've had a long day and the kids have been awesome. We don't want to push our luck with them. Seen also a lot of great sunsets, but look at that. How beautiful is that? You can see that haze, the smoky haze. It's just everywhere at the moment with all the fires burning. That's been another big day getting around here at Kakadu. We've seen so much stuff, it's been awesome. back to the car. This is Mary River Campground. It's pretty cool. There's a camp kitchen up over here, toilet block behind that. We spent last night playing pool, having burgers. We had the buffalo burger, which I highly recommend. You can see it's a nice big campsite, plenty of space. Just out in the bush, plenty of birds kicking around. Good way to finish our trip into Kakadu. Ready to go, Jed? Good job, mates. We're all done here at Kakadu. We're ready to head off. We've stayed the night at Mary River Roadhouse, which is at the southern part of the exit from Kakadu. We've had a good time. It is great. I don't understand why people say Kakadont. People say Kakadont all the time. I don't understand it at all. There's plenty to do. It's good quality. The only negatives are perhaps that it's spread out and you have to pay a fee to come into the park because it's a national park, which is unusual for people. So that might be what the Kakadont is. But so far in our 7-month lap of Australia, we haven't seen rock art like we've seen. We've had some great fun in plunge pools. We've gone on some great walks. There was so much more to do here at Kakadu. But to be honest, we've done so much that we're okay and ready to move on and go down into Central Northern Territory. We want to go and check that out. We're super keen to do that. I haven't been to Ayers Rock before. Steph has, but myself and the boys have not. So all in all, it's Kakadu. Don't worry about people saying Kakadont. We've found on our trip of Australia so far, there's a lot of negativity out there. Just got to check things out for yourself, check multiple sources. Kakadu is an absolute Kakadu.